Hey, folks, I just wanted to welcome you to our very first Spaces on X. And if you don't know what that is, X, formerly known as Twitter, has this feature where essentially you can turn your phone into not necessarily a podcast, but an outlet to speak to anybody out there that has X. And we have been teetering around with trying to figure this out and using it maybe for some Patreon shows because we're connected to some phenomenally interesting people through our X profile. So if you haven't got on that yet, go sign up for it and try and figure out a way to get involved. There's a really good community we've got going over there. So we're going to Washington, D.C. to represent Franklin County and Appalachia and all of us here in the next couple of weeks. And so we decided to get together with some of the guys who were big promoters of that and some of the people who've been there before and have a little discussion. And we've converted it over to turn it into a show to see how this goes. So it's a little different than our normal shows. And it's almost like a radio show, essentially, that we've had people call in, essentially. They'll speak, different speakers. So the main three is myself, and Simon pops in there for a bit. Of course, Spike Cohen and Chip Slate from Being Libertarian. Of course, Spike is with You Are the Power. They're all big, phenomenally big supporters of the show, and we wouldn't be able to do it as well without folks at Rocky Mount Burger Company and Brian. They've helped us out with this trip. Buddy at Rocky Mount Smokehouse. Everybody that's chipped in and helped, we certainly appreciate it. You can still help by going to givesendgo.com/get on tap. Look for the Appalachian podcast on there. We're trying to raise a little bit of money to make this DC trip and be ambassadors to the area and get people extremely excited about coming to our area and hanging out, with Henry Law and Tyler Godsey over at Five Points Music Sanctuary. Some of the shows we have here, some of the nature stuff. I mean, we've got a gym and we really need people coming in here and exploring it and enjoying it and sticking around and, coming back. So, we appreciate everybody's help. You can also support us at patreon.com/get on tap, where we have subscriber only episodes, and some of these, spaces here in the near future with some prominent people may go over there to our subscriber page. But, keep tabs on us. We're getting ready to work out some new deals with websites and things like that. So be patient with us, and we're getting ready to take off in some pretty fun directions. And it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody here and everybody that supports us and, our subscribers. And, just ask anybody who's come out to an event of ours or anybody that's come on the show. It's always a good time. So we certainly appreciate all. You can also give a one-time donation at Get on Tap for Cash App or Venmo. And like I said, we appreciate everything. As far as anything else is concerned, stick around. If you're listening to this show this upcoming Saturday, which is going to be, the 27th, I believe, we'll be at the Rocky Mount Burger Company with the St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Nick Robertson. He's going to be there between 4:30 and 5:30. So for autographs for your kids, you want a baseball, even if you're not a kid, come by and wish him well. We been a long time since we had some guys in the professional ranks from this town, and now we've got a couple out there that are doing some big things. So be sure to come out and hang out at that event. We'll be there. And then after the fact, we'll be recording a show upstairs in the Bell Room at the Burger Company. And a few people will probably stick around for that. We'll see how that turns out. So without further ado, we'll give you our Spaces on X. Just this is kind of a beta version for us, so be patient, and then hopefully we can have things work a little bit better in the future, and hopefully some of you can join X and come in when we have these spaces and talk to some of these people and ask them some questions. You never know who it might be on there from one day to the next. So we appreciate every one of y'all do for us, and here we go.
Me, Billy?
I got
Excellent.
you.
How are you?
I'm doing just peachy. We just had one heck of a show with Jason Nelson. When that show comes out, you're going to love it. He's a prepper from down there in Texas, and I guess he spent a handful of years in the Marine Corps and then U.S. military special ops, U.S. Army special ops. Just a fascinating conference. Of course, Simon took up the overwhelming majority of of the conversation. So I only got in a hand because this was right up his
Oh,
alley.
you know
So,
how he is.
great show. Hopefully, we get this guy up here to the Appalachian region and we can kind of bounce ideas off each other because he's and I was real super jealous of his what do you call it his camera because we just grainy and zoom and looks awful. Yet he's got this just a magnificent setup. I'm like, all right, this is what we got to talk about tomorrow is getting us a nice camera so people can see my ugly face better.
Of course.
So if it on the episode, did Simon like go into great detail about how farming is the ultimate cheat? And
He spent the overwhelming majority of the show discussing that very topic. We did. He should be on here. He's on his way back up to the farm now because I was trying to explain to him about spaces here. I said, look, uh, this is our first one, but you don't need any special equipment. Just click this button here, join it, and when you get in here, we'll add you as a speaker. And he was a little. I've just found out now I can't even do it on the my PC. I've got to do it on my phone, so I didn't even know that was how this went. So it's
He
kind of
probably
odd.
thought you needed a license to even participate.
yeah, boy, mate, you got a license for that space?
Look,
That's my Simon impersonation, but
look, anybody that's listening right now, I encourage you go to my profile there, get on tap, and scroll down till you find the video of the Englishman talking about discovering farming. And I mean, it's funny without the context, but when you listen to Simon and you've met Simon and you hear him and look at him, it's like the guy's a dead ringer. Like all his mannerisms, all of his sayings, even down to the look, like that is Simon 20 years ago. It's
I thought it actually was him. And then I'm looking, I'm like, I don't think it is. So then I jokingly said, "Oh, that's Simon, and you're not going to convince me otherwise." And someone responded and said, "Wow, Spike's talking about," and he tagged who it actually is, some famous like comedian or whatever. I'm putting the link to the video in the chat on this space. So for anyone who wants to watch it, it's hilarious. Don't watch it now though, because you're watching this space. But anyway, watch it later. But and I look and I'm like, man, he still kind of looks like Simon. Like that was a dead ringer for Simon. And I can picture Simon saying all of that on his farm. Like, I wake up and I'm already at work, and that fucking chicken gives me all the eggs I want. Like, it's funny.
yeah, his that last line when he's walking out and he says, while the other poor saps are glued to the tube, I'm going to get milk for a cow. And he says that jammy bastard. I'm like, and the way he says it, it's just I have heard
No,
him
that's
use
him.
that
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love
But
it.
he should be joining us here momentarily. Like I said, he's making the trek from this rural town up into the more rural mountains, and he'll lose service. So he decided not to get on until he gets up there. So it should probably be here in the next 5 minutes. But we'll go ahead and get started for everybody. I'm glad to see so many people kind of tuned in here. We're gonna have a pretty decent enough talk before we jump on. I'm gonna try and use this recording and put it on our page as a podcast as well. Hopefully, I've done things enough right to make that happen. So, check us out at AppalachianPodcast.org or under the Appalachian Podcast on all your Spotify, Apple, all those, Amazon, all those places. You can find it there. So I'm going to try and upload it there so they can listen to this whole talk as well. We're going to talk a little bit about LibertyCon and how that's coming. We'll talk about a few other things, hopefully. But before we get to all that, I don't. A lot of our listeners in here, I'm looking at. I kind of know where y'all are located, and we're all feeling a polar vortex. It's been miserably cold for weeks and weeks now. While Spike, you've been kind of hunkered down in a sunny paradise. How was that?
A slightly warmer place known as Barbados. Yeah, we went to we were in Barbados for just over a month to spend the holidays with family, and well, it's because it's cold in America. And so we went there, and we got back on Sunday, late Sunday night, when I that morning I went and I was laying in the, I'm floating in the water at the beach up near where we live in Barbados, and I'm trying to prepare myself for returning to the freezing wasteland that is apparently South Carolina right now. and I'm listing all the things that I'm looking forward to getting back to see my family there, and get back to my house here, and I miss my car, and that was really it. There wasn't a lot that I was like really like not. I was coming up empty on like why I want to return to America. I'm like, salmon's cheaper there. Like, I mean, it was not doing well. And when we left, um, when we left Barbados, it was 82 degrees. When we landed in Charlotte, which is our connecting flight, it was 28 degrees. When we got here, it was 26 degrees. And I'm like, I want to go back. Like, I don't want, but anyway, I've already readjusted, and I'm back in my coping with it being way colder than I want it to be outside mode, which is most of my life. And I'm happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to being at LibertyCon the next weekend. Also, just little side note, little side quest before that. Anyone who lives in the Atlanta area, I'm going to be at the Libertarian Party of Georgia convention this weekend. But if you don't live in Atlanta and you're like, but wait, I want to not just meet Spike, but I want to meet everyone else in the Liberty movement all at once, then you definitely want to come out to LibertyCon in DC, Washington, DC, libertycon.com. We'll be talking more about it, but that is my first official plug of LibertyCon for this space.
It's hard to explain to people just how much of a party this really is. It's just nonstop, and so I'm excited to get up there, and I'm just extremely jealous of a month in Barbados. I mean, there are snowbirds, and then there's Spike Cohen. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, so the thing is, there are two types of Jews, and many there's been all this, there's Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and there's the Reform and ultra Orthodox. That's all BS. There are sun Jews and there are snow Jews, and that's it. That's all there is. I'm a sun Jew. Snow Jews, they like to vacation and go on the mountains and ski, and they go, oh, it's so cool. Maryland, or they get south of the Mason-Dixon line, and they're already sweating, and and then there are me. They're the Sun Jews who do not want it. Like, I do not do well if it's under 70 degrees. Period. Like, it's just not okay. So that's where I am.
Well, I don't know how the media or social media work there in Barbados, but while you were down there, I think we had a third introduced into the mix, and they have subsequently been named Tunnel Jews. I don't know if
so those are snow.
So keeping up with
that is a subset of Snow Jew who it's not cold enough, so they to freeze themselves even more. They're actually hibernating for the long winter.
So for the longest time, when I saw the initial video of that one gentleman climbing out of the hole onto the streets of New York, like, I thought it was a gag. I thought it was just it was some practical joke or something going on, until a few hours later I see, no, there's this whole big deal. And I guess that guy was escaping. I mean, what a story, what a
no, that was real. That was a real thing.
Have been absolutely amazing. I wish they'd keep going. They've just been incredible.
Well, yeah, that's your meme for January right there, right?
It's gonna be.
Oh, that was definitely the meme to ring in the new year, was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, let's look. I don't so I'm not, being my first faces here, we're hosting. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I know there's some people in here. I think there's a button you can put to raise your hand if you want to jump in and speak. I know we got some people in here that have probably been to LibertyCon before, might have something to say, or you might have a question for Spike. We can get to that towards the end of it or whatever. So I guess that's a little hand button. If you want to say something, we'll try and get as many people in here as possible. Jumping into, I guess, the big topic about LibertyCon, like, okay, Chip and Spike, I know both of y'all have been here before. And we're going up there partnering with Chip and being libertarian, which is huge for us. But as I've studied the event a little bit more often, I'm beginning to see that I think myself and Simon and Amos are going to stick out like sore thumb. What
if y'all come with the costumes that I've heard, then yes, y'all absolutely are going to stick out like sore thumbs.
They are definitely coming in costume. Both of them are coming in costumes.
The costumes can only help. That's what I will tell you. No, I mean, listen, I'm not sure that anyone really truly sticks out like a sore thumb at this because there's people from literally every corner of the planet. Um, yeah, my favorite thing about any of the SFL events I go to, but especially LibertyCon, is they have student activists and people that they bring in, speakers and I guess influencers in the Liberty world and elsewhere, who are from just about every single place on earth, and especially the students. Like if you look at the speaker list, it's largely, heavy with people that are in and around the state, North America and Europe. But when you come out and you meet all the different student activists and organizations that come there that are either directly a part of Students for Liberty or adjacent to it, there are people from literally every single continent, including Antarctica. And it's just wild. Like literally hundreds of people from around the world. And the other thing that strikes me about it is when you start talking with them, all of their concerns are almost identical to what we're experiencing here to various degrees. It's just it's amazing when you have a libertarian mindset how the dystopian status nightmare is pretty much the same everywhere. So it's very heartening.
Chip?
Yeah, the thing I was going to say is it's especially with SFL events is it's just everything is high end. Everything's done the right way. You got these speakers; they give you access to them, and you're right there in the belly of the beast in DC. Couldn't be a more perfect time with the primaries going. Watching the results come in right now. And so, there's no telling what's going to happen between now and even, a week and a half from now when we're all at LibertyCon.
I think for I'll go ahead and let everybody know the costume, because if you're in here listening, maybe you're considering going and maybe you want to see it. And for those who will be there, it'll be a surprise for them. Simon, they have concocted a genuine red coat for him to wear, so he will be coming as a genuine enemy of the Republic. Full get up and all. Amos, our other guy who's going to be co-hosting with us up there, has been on quite a few of our shows, a lot of our Appalachian Farmer shows. He has the thighs and the look and the beard and everything. He is a dead ringer for Abraham Lincoln. He's got the top hat, he's got the suit, and he can recite, if I'm not mistaken, the entire Gettysburg Address from memory. At least I know he used to could. So, so if you want to see Abe Lincoln in a red coat, all in the same room, come up there February 2nd through the 4th and hang out. I'm certain you'll have some good conversation.
That's incredible. And we can have them reenact, or I guess enact, because there was never a reenactment. This never happened to reenact, but we could have the Redcoat and Abraham Lincoln argue over which one hated the Republic more.
Oh, good call. Good call.
I mean, they're already there.
Well, you don't want to get them two going like that. You fire them up with a couple of liquor drinks and they'll never stop. I mean, they will literally come up with stuff off the top of their head to go on for hours and hours.
Well, that's exactly what we want, actually. Yes, that's what we were hoping for.
So help us out. What can we expect? So let's say, and granted, this year might be different than years past, but as generally as we can kind of anticipate, map out the days for us. What can we expect on Friday and Saturday and Sunday if we're coming in there, for the people who might want to come for all 3 days, or for the people who might just want to drop in for one day?
So you are going to experience, for each day that you are there, there's a main stage, and then there are multiple breakout rooms where there are panels and debates and workshops and all sorts of other stuff. It's pretty comprehensive, and if anything, you really should, if you're going to be coming, go ahead and look at the schedule of events on LibertyCon and map out where you're going to want to go, because it can get overwhelming when you get there. There's just so, and it's a good thing, but there's just so much stuff going on. But on the main stage, you've got some of the biggest names in the liberty movement, and honestly, big names in the business world, in academia, kind of across the whole spectrum there, speaking about all sorts of different subjects. I'll give you some examples of some of the main people that are going to be speaking. You've got John Stossel. Everyone, I think, probably knows who he is. He's been a journalist for decades now. He now has John Stossel TV. John Mackey, who was the co-founder of Whole Foods, he now has Love Life, which is a program he's created to help people with their long-term health and well-being. You have Justin Amash, former congressman and current U.S. Senate candidate. You have a guy named Spike Cohen, who has a little nonprofit he's working on the side there called You Are the Power. We have who else do we have? We have Robert Breedlove, who's the host of the What Is Money show. Connor Boyack, the author and creator of the Tuttle Twins. Peter St. Onge with the Heritage Foundation. Ford Fischer with News to Share, and a ton of other people. I mean, it's literally dozens of incredible speakers and panelists. Topher Field, who was one of the leaders of the anti-lockdown movement in Australia, he's going to be coming and speaking. We've got some folks with the Appalachian podcast are going to be there. We have some folks with Being Libertarian are going to be there. Just all the leaders of the Liberty Movement are going to be there.
Don't forget Jaden Rodriguez, based Backpack Boy, will be there.
Oh, yes. I was not sure if that was still a secret yet, but that if we're allowed to say that. But yes, if that is
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, he's out. Yes. So we literally, the kid who had the Don't Tread on, for those who may probably remember but may not have it in the front of their mind. A few months ago, there was a kid who stood his ground at school. He had a Gadsden flag patch amongst a bunch of other really cool patches on his backpack. And one of the teachers got a hair up their butt about it and said, "Oh, that's white supremacy. You can't wear that." And he said, "Yeah, I can. I have the First Amendment right to wear it." And his parents stood their ground on it too. And eventually the school capitulated and said, "Yeah, of course you can do that." And it just showed that, you stick to your guns on this stuff, and if you stay sticking to your guns, you'll win. And he's going to be there. And since we're talking about students who stick up for their rights and the rights of their other students there, one of the listeners right now is a lady named Mandy. And back during the lockdowns and the school closures, her son Jamie, who at the time was, I believe, 5 years old, maybe he was 6, but I believe he was 5 years old. He got up, he wrote a speech, and then went to one of these anti-lockdown or anti-school closure rallies and gave a speech about how he wanted to go back to school and see his friends, and how it didn't make sense what they were doing, and why can't we go to school? And they were, I think, in front of the school, and he's like, reopen this school. And of course, the crowd went wild over it. And Jamie is continuing to grow as a young leader in the liberty movement on the strength of seeing firsthand what happens when our rights are robbed from us.
Excellent. Well, Mandy just earned a follow for that story.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about the prospects and me more about the party, because Chip has alluded to this, that it's just a really good time. People are kind of fast paced and going around, but when you have a chance to sit down and speak with some of these people, and I'm hoping a crap ton of them are going to sit down with us for a few. We might get 15, 20 minutes here or there with some people. We might take our stuff back to the hotel room after hours and get a couple people for an hour if that's what they want to do. But we're going to have a lot of these people come on the show, so be sure to tune in and find out who we get. I'm excited about all that. But, I'm just excited about meeting a different variety of people and kind of see, learning from them things we can bring back here to the Appalachian region, and then maybe getting them a little interested in our region. We've got so much to offer around here, and so much for people to learn from. Like, there's a lot to talk about at this conference, and sustainability is probably bound to be one of them because of the position we find ourselves in. But yeah, I'm excited about some of those speakers and be able to get down and actually talk with some of them and have their message moved out to some of the people that follow us.
Oh, you are going to have no shortage of people to speak with. Your biggest issue will be time management of making sure that you can get to as many of them as possible. So yeah, you'll probably have to either do 15, 20-minute interviews each, or do like some long running thing where guests come in and out throughout it. But yeah, you will definitely have no problem. There are so many people that you'll be able to speak with. And you mentioned sustainability. one of the things that SFL it has been focusing on more and more has been talking about the fact that Liberty and the free market provide a far better solutions to issues like pollution and clean water and environmental issues than anything that government can give us. And I think that there's obviously a huge part of that talking about sustainability and talking about farming and talking about talking about good stewardship of land and not just using it for lawn but using it for food and everything else as well. That's a big part of that, and so I think that that's going to be a very welcome addition to that discussion.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting a bunch of those people. Chip, what's how many times have you been to Liberty Con?
Well, I've only been that one time. I think in 2019 was the year we went. So it's been a few years since we've been up there. But again, we're excited. I think one of the big things that plays a big role here is managing the hangover. The hangover management is going to be key here. I don't know if they offer those IV services I see in some places like Vegas, but that may be something we can look at, as free marketers, make some dough while we're doing this.
Well, I'll bring saline bags, and I don't know if that's legal, but I'll have to check it because TSA only lets you bring 3.4 ounces of saline. So I which is not much. So I will find out about just how much saline I can bring. I'm not good at finding veins, so I might need help
we'll
with
need
that.
Professionals, but recruit some professionals for that aspect. But
okay, I thought you were. I mean, I can try,
but
professional would probably be better.
We can run with this.
Well, yes. This is a bit concerning for me, knowing the company I keep. Because Simon likes to have him a drink when he's on the show. Now, if the show's going to be going on for 12 straight hours, that might cause problems. I will let people know that we are from the moonshine capital of the world. I'm not insinuating in the least that we would ever bring any sort of fame to our nation's capital. But you can make your, hopefully that that hypothetical right there will be a possibility, for an after-hour show in the hotel room or something for a couple lucky people. But we've our good friend Henry Law, he's been such a big part of our show. So if anybody out there watches the TV show Moonshiners, give it a follow. He's one of the OGs. He goes way back, and actually my grandpa used to chase him around as a state trooper. So it's really odd that he and I have kind of become friends later in life. And it was a different time period. There was a time period where it was a gentleman's game, and we just don't have that anymore, which is going to be a big conversation. I'm assuming up here at LibertyCon, because that, the police state we find ourselves in, with the recent movie. Have y'all caught the movie by D'Souza or whatever yet? I haven't had a chance to watch it.
No, it was actually on my list of things I was going to watch while I was in Barbados, and then I remembered I was in Barbados and I didn't watch anything. So
I was in Barbados.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was thinking. I have no idea what I was thinking. I was like, I'll catch up on my reading and my ebooks. None of that happened. Literally none of that happened.
Man, what a trip.
I'm excited about the prospects and the possibilities, and I know for sure, Chip, you have spoken with the family over there for Base Backpack Boy, and he is for sure coming on the show there for.
Oh, absolutely, correct? Yeah, he's nice. Really cool kid, down to earth. His parents are really smart. He actually got if I'm not mistaken, he got in trouble or got sent home from school for making a motion like he had a slingshot in class, and he's just complaining about it, and then he wants to be homeschooled. So he is something for a 13-year-old. He's got a solid head on his shoulders.
Well, let me just go ahead and put this out there. He will probably not be joining us in the Moonshine Special After Show.
No, definitely not.
Yet. He's got 8 years to go, and then he's golden, but not quite yet. No. We're not quite there. 13 is decidedly below even the socially acceptable. Maybe he's 19 or 20 or whatever. He's 13, so he will be in the pre-show. Or the pre-post show, which most would just call the show.
Not to say I don't know if he can handle it or not, but I mean, moonshine I've seen take down grown men. So I don't know. Maybe follow European rules. if you're a young lad trying to get it. But I don't actually recommend anybody doing it as a poison. And if you're going to do it in moderation. But yeah, I mean, I know that's going to be an interesting conversation to have, with him. And I guess he's going to be one of the speakers as well. So when you say about these breakout rooms and stuff, does that mean, for the main stage, there's a handful of speakers that'll be on the main stage, and those handful of dollars, some of the other speakers will be on these breakout rooms, correct?
Yeah, in fact, and some of them are going to be in both. So I will be on the main stage a couple of times, but I'm also going to be in a bunch of different panels. So I'm in one on the details about qualified immunity and why it needs to be ended. I'm on another one about details about civil asset forfeiture and why that needs to be ended. I'm on a panel about the death penalty, the ethics of the death penalty, and if it should be ended or continued. And I believe there's one other one I'm forgetting that I'm on as well. But I'm on a few different panels on all sorts of different subjects like that are happening constantly in all the different rooms, breakout sessions that are hosted by different organizations. All sorts of things like that. Oh, I'm also doing a panel with John Mackey, or not a panel, but a talk during one of the lunches with John Mackey, who's the co-founder of Whole Foods. We're going to be talking about health and wellness from his perspective as someone who's started an entire grocery chain with an eye towards providing healthier food options, and now with his organization that helps people to connect with better healthy lifestyles. And from my perspective, as someone who was basically dying until I started taking my health seriously, and now I'm just dying more slowly like everyone else. And real cherry thought. And so we're going to be having a discussion about that. And there's just all sorts of incredible discussions that are going to be happening all around the event, as well as the stuff that's happening up on the main stage as well.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I'm sincerely looking forward to it, and I know I was super excited when Chip actually agreed to come up there with us, because after Brian reached out to us, invited us, I had no earthly idea. So I called Chip up and said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming with us?" And and kind of, because I didn't even know at the time he had been there before, but after I found out after the fact, it was great, because now we got somebody up there kind of show us the ropes, and we got a couple of people up there that we're familiar with, and just getting up there has been something that's been on my list for a couple months now. I've been looking forward to. So I'm super excited about getting up there and seeing people. And
it's hitting me. There's a chance to see Abe Lincoln drunk at this. Legitimately, you're going to see a man dressed up as Abe Lincoln and probably intoxicated.
Oh, there's no problem to it. The only question is how much. And I'm hopefully going to get these guys to tone it down a little bit, because now Friday night is probably going to be the funnest time, because we're going to be traveling. We're going to get up there. Probably things are going to be running fast, and we'll probably jump right in it hard. And Saturday will be more of the we need to calm it down kind of day, and get work done. So I'm really looking forward to all that and seeing everybody. And so I've got a couple people in here got some questions. Some people requesting to speak. I'm gonna click over and let them jump in. The originator right here. Let me see if I can add you in here.
Cool.
It says he's speaker. Are you on there?
Yeah. This platform is not always great. I have a quick question for you. So I think Liam was on here earlier. He's one of our top dudes here for the Montana LP.
Liam McCollum.
And I'm just, yep.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, our boy, rising star. Just a question about, like, I know you guys are doing this in DC, and we generally plan these events, around larger population centers. And I guess my question is, like, is there any concerted effort or focus on, uh, taking things out away from the big population centers and maybe doing some smaller events?
Are you saying specifically for SFL or just in general for the Liberty Movement?
Just generally speaking.
Okay, generally, yeah. So generally speaking, I mean, I've spoken at events in 48 states, everything from a combination from the biggest cities to, for example, one of the events that we that I did last year was in a town in Nebraska that was outside of a town that was outside of Lincoln. And to the point where I'm not sure if we were in a town or just a series of farms, but and everything in between. So I'm very much a big fan and a big proponent of, to whatever extent possible, making sure that we are having a host of liberty events and things that draw people into the liberty movement, from everything from big cities, small towns, suburbs, and everything in between. You Are the Power, my organization. It also works on causes in towns of all various sizes as well. With a group like SFL to do a big national annual event, it's kind of hard to not do it in a major city because of the logistics of bringing hundreds of people from well over from I believe close to 100 countries from around the world. You need relative proximity to a major airport. You need a venue that can handle such a thing. And so you kind of, in those types of things, you end up in a situation where you kind of need to be in or near a major population center. But with that said, I co-hosted some events last year with Students for Liberty that were in the rural and suburban parts of Ohio, the so-called Rust Belt part of Ohio, around the eastern and northern part of Ohio. So even Students for Liberty is trying to do more, suburban and rural things. But yeah, unfortunately for these kinds of major international events, you kind of have to be close to a major population center. But no, I think we should be reaching all the corners.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, kind of to touch on that too, that's kind of what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing here at the Appalachian podcast is we're trying to
Yep.
bring more liberty-minded people to the rural parts of the country. If we can start out here in Appalachian, maybe inspire some people in the Rust Belt, in Middle America to kind of do the same thing. And Spike's helped us out tremendously and talk about bringing. He came here to our small town, Rocky Mount, Virginia, and we had a decent enough crowd show up, considering it was like. It was hay season, so all the farmers that normally come out to these events were all picking up hay, and a lot of the other parents and stuff that wanted to show up had award banquets because that's what we do is have award banquets for Little League for everything around here. So it was we had to take the time we had to get, but Spike's coming to this area, and now for us going to DC, trying to encourage a lot of these people. For us, I look at it as a networking thing. I want as many of these people up here to hopefully come to the Appalachian region and enjoy it as much as I hope Spike did and want to come back here. Invest time, effort, money. We've got the ability for some of these people to come and have, retreats, for their corporations or whatnot. We've got the, go hunt and fish and ride the river, whatever you want to do, and make your town shine. And I think that's one of the biggest things you can do is get around with as many people in your local community, make your town shine, and try and get as many people to come there as possible that want to hang out and spend money. So that's kind of our path, for the liberty movement is getting these liberty minded people to come here. Maybe a few will stick around. Maybe a few will invest some money into a business here. Who knows? But you gotta take that shot. And I think people are starting to look and see that maybe the rural life is a little more relaxed.
Well, and
And maybe the whole concrete jungle concept is maybe there for the younger generation, and you're not supposed to live there your entire life and raise families because, I mean, it's
well,
city, it's there for
I
jobs and
think you're
work.
seeing a shift across. You're seeing rural sort of make a comeback. People are rethinking city life. Overall, and that's what I love being associated with something that has farmers missing because of actual farm related stuff. That's really cool. I love being associated with those kinds of people. I mean, those are legitimate folks, and I think that's really cool that y'all do that.
Yeah, we got another question in here. Where are you at, Hoss? I see you. Can you hear us? There
Hey,
you go.
Amy. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to comment, man. Like, I've lived in Virginia like 30 years now, and every time I bring a city person up here, they're just like, "Man, this is relaxed living. This is like the hometown feel. This is everybody's so polite." My buddy from Ireland came over, and he was like, "That strangers are opening doors for me. It feels weird," you know. And I mean, like, I can't say enough about like how much I respect y'all's podcast because like this really is heaven we're living in up here. You know? But I don't want to be too big of a fanboy. But hey, Spike, I love you, man.
Yeah, I think we kind of. Are you still there, Chip? I think we lost Spike there.
Yeah, I'm here. Did we lose Spike?
Yeah, I believe so. And I don't see where Simon's at yet. He sent me a message and saying he's having issues and having trouble.
Imagine his license is out.
He says he has he can't get audio. I'm not sure everybody on the planet here has audio, and uh, I'm dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded. I know he's managed to mess something.
You're gonna have to pay somebody to fix it for him. You know that.
Well, I'm just gonna have to go up there and I try every time I try and show him how X works. It's always after a show, and he's always I'm a little soft now, and I'm not quite able to follow.
Mike's on.
Is he back?
Yep. I'm trying to see here. I heard somebody.
Hey, Billy.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
Yes.
I've got Spike.
You've got better than Simon. You've got his other.
Oh wow.
Oh, hey.
Hey, how are you, Spike?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well. Enjoying a true winter. We had actual snow.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed such a thing.
Says the Sun Jew.
Yes. We mixed it before. I am there are snow Jews and sun Jews. I'm a sun Jew. I'm not of the snow people. I was very much enjoying it being well above 80 degrees every day, and now I'm suffering under, I think it was 60 something here, and that's not okay. That is not okay. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Very good. All the best. Well, I'm going to let Simon use my phone since he's just hopping away at his and getting nowhere fast. Here you go, fellas.
Yeah, sorry, guys. That was I have been overwhelmed and subdued by technology. Bastards.
Your license ran out. Don't lie.
Well, it is the BBC after all, old chap.
Simon, please. I mean, perhaps you have your recent video that come out on repeat on your X profile, and you can't figure out a way to pull it down so you can actually.
That's what it is.
You have watched yourself time and time and time again, remembering those glorious days back on the island, right?
You're a devious, dirty bastard.
Look, I didn't make the video, and look, Spike has commented himself. It's a dead ringer. Like he's convinced it's you.
I feel like when I was on your property when we were recording it, I feel like we had those exact conversations about how the chickens are made of chicken, and then if you don't, and I can hear your voice like they're made of bloody chicken, and like that's who can beat
Tastes
this? Like
chicken. And guess what? If you don't kill them, eggs come out of their asses.
Yes, we had. Okay, so we did have this conversation. Okay, yes, thank you.
It's a win-win.
I've never laughed so hard in my life. I mean, I can picture him finding. It's really mind-boggling.
He gets very excited.
Yeah, all right. I'm busted. You got me with a good one there, Billy. You shit.
I mean, you're just continuously re-emphasizing my claim because those are the same sort of foul-mouthed language words that this gentleman was using in this.
I'm containing myself right now and being very polite.
The video was just grainy enough that I was like squinting, and I'm like, was that him? Like, was that a real? And about halfway through, I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's not him. And then I guess it turns out it's some like famous comedian in the UK or whatever. I had no idea, but I'm listening and I'm like, maybe that really is him. Because like, again, I feel like when you were talking about how your goats are cheeky bastards or whatever, that you were saying like, the thing about my livestock are They're all made of meat. Like, I mean, it was like we had that conversation. So
yeah, it's a walking pantry. Oh yes,
right, yes.
indeed.
Well,
You
Simon,
know, thank you, Billy. Thank you, Spike.
well, Simon, we have already went ahead and busted out the costume. How's yours coming along?
I have a little bit of braid to be putting on, and I'm hoping not to have any bullet holes.
Will you be bringing an authentic rifle?
Not
Wink, wink.
What legal representation do I have?
I feel like this is an excellent time to exercise your right as an American to plead the fifth on that one, because you're going to DC.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, you're quite right. Plead the fifth.
I'm not
Why not?
licensed
Damn
in
it!
DC, y'all. You can't get in trouble up there.
It wouldn't matter if you're right or not, Simon. You don't stand a chance. You don't. None of us would stand a chance up there. I don't believe.
Yeah, we're in the nest of vipers. I am deeply concerned.
Well,
Not.
Simon, we've had some questions about your drinking habit, or some concerns. Do you think you'll be able to make it the entire weekend? Because you like to drink a drink for a show, but I think we'll be showing for 12 or 13 hours.
That could be tricky. Consistency has been my legacy thus far. This could be tricky.
All right, we got a couple other people requesting here. I'm gonna get to y'all in order. We're gonna go for D-Doc. So go ahead and let's see. Got you on here. You let us know when you can speak. There you go. He's got himself on mute, I believe. D-Doc.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hey, Spike, what's going on? D. Dockery from LPDC here in Jax, Florida.
Hey, D, great to hear from you.
Sure. I spent the day today on a conservative radio show talking about libertarians. And of course, I had my cyberbully the government shirt on because we were on social media platforms also. And I did get
Outstanding.
to shout out You Are the Power during the live streams there and on national syndicated radio. Would you be willing, if I could get you connected with that radio host, would you be willing to do like a Zoom meeting with him? Obviously, I would shoot out to Brian for this to get you guys connected. I'm just curious if you.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I'd be happy to.
Sure. Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Dean. Keep doing what you're doing.
Excellent. We'll go on to our next one right here. Looks like we've got Nicole C. We'll give her. Excuse me. I hope I'm not assuming your gender. I just.
Oh, don't you dare!
Well, you're the one speaking.
We would never dare, Heather.
Yeah, you're the one speaking through his profile picture of somebody that looks like they're far
That's a
out of your
darn
league.
fine shot there, Spike.
It's 1,000 times better talking with you and having Heather's name and photo, having Simon as Heather. It makes it 1,000 times. I only want to talk to you as Heather now. That's like moving forward.
Oh shit!
I'll be his face.
Yes, the face of Simon is Heather. Yes,
I'm his brand.
I mean, that was already true, but now we're just doing it literally. Yes.
Well, it's very deceptive because you click on the picture and you're like, wow, who's this good-looking thing wanting to talk to me? And then you hear that British accent just...
Right, then they're all made of chicken. Yes, yeah, that's...
Oh, God blimey, Governor.
Nicole, Steve, can you hear us? You want to speak? It says there's muted here. We will go to the next one here and see the...
So, real quick, Nicole, if you're not used to doing this, if you look down at the bottom, because it says you're muted, if you look down at the bottom left of your phone, you'll see a little mic, and it should show that it's muted. And if you press that, it will say mic is on, if you can even hear me.
Sounds like some advice that should have went to Simon about 30 minutes ago.
Thank you, Billy. You can still kiss my you-know-what.
Well, hey, you can say what you want to. I don't think we're FCC regulated here.
Yeah, you can actually say what the thing is that we know what.
Oh, right, bitches.
Inviting him to say the things.
The things, all the things.
All right, we're going to the scientific libertarian here.
Oh, I had a question for Spike Cohen. It's not quite certain whether our candidate will get in the presidential debates, but I think we will be in a couple free and equal debates with Robert Kennedy Jr. I'm just curious, how would you approach a debate with that guy?
I mean, the short answer is I'd approach it based on what the subject of what we're talking about is. But I mean, in general, I think that with any of these people that are kind of in the libertarian come lately group, where they are, at a moment where it's maybe politically expedient to them, suddenly they've discovered their inner libertarian. I demonstrate that I'm happy that they've decided to join us. I then question them on when they decided. For example, with him, I'd say, it's great. When did you decide that you no longer thought that gun rights groups were terrorist organizations and that the Second Amendment should be eliminated? When did you stop thinking that the lockdowns should be continued because you thought they were good for the environment? Or when did you stop thinking that people should be civilly or criminally tried if they denied climate change? Or when did you stop thinking these things? Because that I can tell you when I stopped being a neocon, and it was an incredible moment for me. When was your incredible moment? And let him answer. Like maybe he's got a great answer for that, or maybe he'll kind of fold under the pressure of being asked to provide examples of when he actually decided to be more liberty leaning.
Yeah, I've seen his debate style. Most of the time, he'll just kind of pivot to like the media's lying about what I said, or it's like a clip, or it's mainstream media lies is typically his go-to. So it's kind of hard to. It's almost like he creates an impenetrable barrier of doubt for those things. So it's a weird debate style, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I think it sounds like it's a very common debate style for the vast majority of politicians, unfortunately. I never said that that's a lie until you're in front of a group that agrees with that. And then, of course I said that. That's all I've ever thought. So, I mean, the thing is, the beauty of that is that most people will see exactly what he's doing. And it doesn't necessarily mean it peels support away from him. But if when you get called on specific things you said, and literally every response you have is, I never said that. Well, yeah, you did. And here are those tweets. So, maybe I could get real cheeky and print them out ahead of time and say, so this didn't happen. This clickable hyperlink is not you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way that I would approach with anyone that's going, oh, well, I'm somewhat of a libertarian now. Oh, great. Well, when did you stop thinking the things that you've been saying for the past several years? Now, the one thing, as we know, and I've been very clear on this from day one, anytime that a Democrat politician with the last name Kennedy says something different, gives a different opinion on a subject depending on who it is they're speaking to, you can always trust that whatever he's telling you is what he actually thinks. We all know that.
Well, I have great credentials, Spike, when I declared my libertarianism, because you were there and you were responsible for it. So,
well, there you go.
There we go.
It was such a beautiful aha moment. If you haven't listened to that show, go back and search for it on our website. It's I think it's Being Libertarian with Spike Cohen and Chip Slate and Henry Law. That's the name of it. And about 30 to 45 minutes in, fortunately, we didn't have video for this. This is why, if you want to help support us, go to patreon.com/getontap. And for just 10 cents a day, you can help get us this video equipment to capture these moments. But Spike is sitting there in between Simon and Henry, and both of them have their aha moment almost simultaneously. And it was crazy to watch, like Spike his head going back and forth between both of them as they can't get their story out fast enough of, oh my God, you just completely, helped me real. And the Spike was just being, just everyday Spike. It wasn't like the, Kennedy's great speech in the 60s. It was just, you don't like being told what to do. Oh, you're a liberal. It was very, very commonsensical.
I was going to say, I didn't have to do a tremendous amount of heavy lifting. I was pretty much just listening to what they'd say. And then I respond, wow, that's crazy. That sounds like you're a libertarian, because like literally everything they were saying was libertarian. They're talking about their inherent distrust for government and their desire for government to actually limit itself to its own charter instead of just, encroaching on our lives however it sees fit. And how whenever government tries to encroach on our lives, it demonstrably makes everything worse. And I'm like, yes, that's called libertarianism. Like literally everything you're saying is libertarianism. So, I mean, I will certainly happily take all credit for anything that ever happens. But I will say, just to, be clear, I think I was just the guy who got to say, hey, I got a secret for you. It sounds like you're a libertarian. And they said, oh, okay, well, then I guess I'm a libertarian.
And that was my born again moment. It was absolutely fucking priceless.
Well, Steve, for me, it's kind of like I've been screaming from the rooftops at him and Amos and Henry and all these people for quite some time now with nothing. It's like being married. I'll say something 100 times to my wife, and then she'll agree with me with somebody else later down the road. I'm like, that's exactly what I've been saying the entire time. I'm sitting here. I'm like, I've been saying this to Simon for months now, and Spike, it just emulates Spike just in a different way. I guess it's kind of like Simon's voice. People just tune straight into it, and it just mesmerizes them. I guess maybe it's my accent. Just people don't take seriously. I don't know.
But have you considered the roads?
Oh, crap. No, don't do that. Don't stop making us not libertarian by making us think of the roads. I think that, I try not to think of the roads, because every time I look at a road, I think, how on earth could we put asphalt on dirt without having 40% of our wealth robbed from us off the top, and the rest of the money they let us keep diminished in value because they print out more of it and hand it off to their friends, and thrown in prison if we step out of line, and forced to fund genocides and mass murders across the globe. How else could we have asphalt on the dirt in front of our house? There's no way. It's literally impossible.
Yeah, I know that, Spike. But have you considered it? Like
I'm trying not to. Stop trying to make me consider the roads.
Matthew, we added you a speaker. Do you have a question?
Hey, thanks for letting me share my views. I'm glad you guys are talking about the aha moments. I think it's hilarious. I think my aha moment was a couple years ago with the omnibus bill, and everyone just left Congress, left D.C. after, I think it was only 2 reps that were left, and just held the floor and just started ranting. And that was the point where I warned them too. I warned the Republican Party, you guys are going to lose my vote if you do this. And that's exactly what they did. And that's my aha libertarian moment.
Sadly predictable.
And thank you for sharing that, because omnibus bills, I call them the shed Republicans towards the Libertarian Party every time they do it, because it's just, everyone has that moment where they're like, there's no way that this party that tells me they want to limit government is going to once again pass a multi-thousand-page bill that no one has actually fully read. There's not a single person who actually fully knows what's in it. They're not even pretending that they're going to pass it and then find out what's in it. Like it's just, and they're not, it's not possible that they're going to lead us into this shutdown crisis and at the last moment say we have to pass this thing or else the whole thing gets shut down. And frankly, if they do, they should just let it shut down, and then they go and pass it. Like all the opposition theater and the planned filibusters and everything else, it always inevitably ends up passing. And every time that happens, at least probably a few hundred, usually on the Republican side, but sometimes on the Democrat side, but a few hundred or maybe even a few thousand people say, I'm done with the 2-party system. Like, this is a scam. So that, whichever, was that the one in, which omnibus was that? Was that 22 or 21 or?
I think that might've been 21, but I guess that leads to a follow-up question for the floor. I noticed the podcast is veteran owned. I'm a veteran myself. I'm running for the North Carolina House, the 15th district. And, I guess where I come into where where that bill came into play was shortly after, I believe, the PACT Act, if you guys are following that. But that was a blank check to the government public sector unions for veterans care. And what I noticed was really unique about the PACT Act, beyond the fact that every time anyone calls the VA now, you got to listen to a 30-minute long PACT Act disclosure now, is that the veteran community is being split by this. Like, I think the veteran community from all the different veteran service organizations, Big Six, like American Legion, VFW, all the massive lobbying partners, I think some of the lower level veterans groups are starting to realize, like, enough of the two-party system, and we're like, mom and dad are fighting, like, this constant pulling of the veteran community left and right. Because I'm seeing a lot of, I don't know, it's more of a question to y'all, is there any hope that we're going to start kind of pulling some of the veterans out of this two-party back and forth?
Hey, that's a great question. Veteran myself, 2003 to 2009. There are more people starting to wake up to this nonsense. Like, you can only kick a football so many times for this partisan nonsense. So we're working on a number of things. Defend the Guard being kind of our front running thing at the moment, but that's going to launch us into being able to maybe convince some people that, the way things have been going aren't really good. The VA from who was it? Colin Powell, I think, ran it for a while, and they tried telling everybody that under Colin Powell that the VA was going to be good again. But going back to guys that went to Vietnam or Korea, they always said, like, you go to the VA, that's where you go to die. Like, these people do not have any respect for you. They're going to send you to war and hope that you die not on their dime.
Well, yeah, I mean, that I became a libertarian, through serving in the military and kind of being in Iraq and thinking, what in the hell am I doing here? This isn't the bill of goods we were sold, much like about anything a politician says. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that I, I think that the VA is dying off. I think a lot of your older guys that do have the faith in it, most of your newer guys, most of your Afghanistan and combat Iraq veterans here, fewer and fewer of them have any faith in it whatsoever. And I think it's just it's a house of cards either way. And honestly, I don't know why they don't disband it anyway. I mean, disband the entire thing and give veterans a card. Says this card is accepted at any location, and the government will reimburse you. Then you take away all those pensions for all those doctors and nurses. You take away all the upkeep for those maintenance facilities, and you make it a lot easier for soldiers to drive 5 minutes down the road as opposed to 45 minutes or an hour, 3 hours. Because Salem is the closest VA hospital here in this entire region, so guys have to come up from deep Southwest Virginia, drive 2.5 hours for an appointment. That's absurd. Just give them the card, let them go see a doctor in their hometown, and have the government reimburse them. If coming from an anarchist, I don't want the government to be involved in anything, and you wouldn't need these veterans if that was the case. But with the playing field we've got, hey, you're going to save a lot of money by not paying those pensions and letting local communities thrive. Because now you've got more nurses and more doctors and more therapists that are needed in these smaller towns, and they're going to drive people to go to these smaller towns and make money. And it's a no brainer.
Yeah, so we actually have a disproportionately higher number of veterans than Republicans or Democrats. The last time they did exit polling on a libertarian campaign, Gary Johnson, it was in 2016. They didn't do exit polling for the third party candidates in 2020, unfortunately, but in 2016. Gary Johnson, who was, he was more anti-war than the other candidates, but hardly a full-throated anti-war candidate, but certainly more so than the others. He got, and I'm forgetting the exact number, but it was something like 20 something, or no, he got either just under or just over 20% of the veteran, of the active duty combat vote in exit polls. So when they were sending in the mail-in ballots. Now, these are the people that are actually fighting the war, and they're saying, yeah, we want this guy. Like, we don't even care if he's going to win. He's the only one that's making any sense. I remember when I was, realizing that my neocon BS was in fact BS. It was meeting on these like internet forums. This was pre-social media. It was like early 2000s. Meeting people who were anti-war, and I'm like, oh well, so you're probably some liberal hippie who just hates Bush. And they're like, no, I just got back from Iraq, or I just got back from Afghanistan, and you're being lied to. We were lied to. What's happening over there is nothing like what you're being told, and this is Vietnam all over again. We're not dying in quite the same numbers, but it's only because the ability to keep us alive after attacks is better now, which just means there's going to be more people with injuries to deal with for the next few decades. And I remember that really like hit me with cognitive dissonance, because I'm like, well, no, I'm supporting the troops by supporting the war. And the troops were literally telling me, stop supporting the war. And that was that was probably one of the first big like gut check challenges to my predetermined belief that, well, of course we're supporting the troops by supporting the effort that they're in, and realizing no, a good number of them aren't behind it. So not only do I think that we're going to continue bringing more and more veterans into the liberty movement, but they are going to be some of the most effective advocates for showing people that this endless imperialist militarism is not supporting the troops. It's not keeping America safe. It's not protecting us. It's not doing anything but hurting millions of people around the world, and hundreds of thousands of our troops, all for the benefit of politicians and bureaucrats and weapons defense contractors and central bankers and foreign dictators and terrorist group leaders and cartel leaders, and just all of the worst scum on the earth are being helped, and everyone else is being harmed by it. So no, I think that trend is absolutely going to continue, and then it will bleed into other things as well. So what has really been effective in the psychedelics decriminalization movement and the cannabis decriminalization movement has not been hippies and stoners, and I love them. I'm a former stoner myself, but hippies and stoners showing up to city councils and going, dude, just legalize it, man. Come on, let's get high. It's been veterans showing up saying, I had med-resistant PTSD and depression, and I was about to be one of those 22 a day or whatever the number is that loses their battle to their inner demons every day as a result of what they experienced overseas. But I was able to start taking psilocybin, or I was able to start taking medicinal cannabis, and I've been able to reclaim my life as a result of it. And it's been that testimony from veterans, the people that we're told they are our heroes, we're supposed to thank them for their service. Well, if the people you're supposed to thank for their service are telling you to decriminalize the medicine they need to get better and to feel better, well, then you better damn well do it. So not only are they coming into the movement, not only are they going to help others who aren't veterans, people like me who never saw a day of basic training or combat or anything else, to realize that we're wrong and that we need to really support the troops by ending these wars. But that's going to bleed over into all sorts of other things, because ironically enough, part of the military industrial complex's strategy is to sort of deify the troops as this sort of monolith that you cannot question. Okay, great. Well, the troops are on our side, so now you can't question them. So I think it's going to be very beneficial to us.
I don't disagree with you there. When it comes to psilocybin, it's not something that you can get addicted to. If you've ever tried it, you would know what I'm talking about. It's an experience, and then you have to take some time to reconcile what you experienced with it. But yeah, a lot of these guys, we come back home and they're like, yeah, you're a hero. Really? Okay, well, I need help.
Yeah, and the thing is, okay, great. I'm a hero. If I'm a hero, then listen to what I have to say about this war. Listen to what I have to say about my healthcare needs. Listen to what I have to say about what, the consequences of what our policies are doing here and abroad. Listen to what I have to say about the medicines that I need to try to feel better. Listen to what I have to say about the bureaucratic nightmare I have to go through to prove my percent of disability to even get help in the first place. Like, if I'm a hero, that doesn't just mean blindly give more money to Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and Boeing and General Dynamics and whatever other groups Nikki Haley's lobbying for. It also means what it actually means. If I'm a hero, then you should be listening to what I have to say about this subject. And what I have to say is that we're being led down the wrong path. Well, then you should be giving me even more attention than you would give to someone else if you truly believe that I'm a hero and that you need to thank me for my service. So again, I'm all about weaponizing. I think very often libertarians, because many of us are autistic, but even the ones that aren't autistic we're very literal, and we are very things should be truthful and make sense, and we don't like tricks, and we don't like using clever ruses to try to get people on our side. Like, we don't like that. And the problem is, most people have much more of and I don't say this as a derogatory thing, it's just the reality of us as a social species. The majority of people that we call normies, they're just somewhat more cattle-like in how they approach things. And it's not because they're bad or stupid or wrong. It's just that's how most people are wired. We're the weird ones. But the reality is, if we see the effectiveness of the strategy of deifying an entire group of people and saying, yes, the veterans are our heroes and we need to support them unquestioningly, instead of saying, hey, that's not true, they're just human beings and they make mistakes and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we can say that, or we can go, yes, and they're saying to end the wars, and they're saying to decriminalize the medicines they need, and they're saying the VA is garbage, and to end it, and to just let them get the coverage they need directly and finance it, or do what Billy was just talking about. It would save us money and get them better care either way. And they're saying that the entire bureaucratic mess that every government agency is an absolute nightmare, and they'll tell you better than anyone else that any government organization is run like absolute garbage. And so, yeah, they're heroes and you can't question them. So, it's time for us to implement libertarianism, because that's what they want.
I'm not going to disagree with any of that.
All right, we'll have time for a couple more questions here real quick, and then we'll get off here. I know, let's see, Rajama Propaganda, you've been holding there for quite a bit. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, great. Hey, I just want to say thank you guys. This is a wonderful podcast. I'm on my commute now. I've been living in Asia for 25 years, so I haven't spent any time in America, but I just want to ask you guys what you think if liberty emerged in a different country in the world. Would you be willing to support it over America if America was actually becoming, well, it already has become a tyrant. America became more tyrannical. Where does your patriotism end? That's what I just wanted to ask you and Spike.
So if I can start with that. I consider patriotism to be loving my country and its people, and not necessarily the government. And in fact, more often than not, loving this country and loving your people, the American people, loving the people of this country, almost always means opposing something the government is doing, or at the very least being highly skeptical of what the government is claiming to do. Because frankly, the vast majority of time, the greatest threat to American freedoms and safety and well-being is in fact the federal government, state governments, and local governments. So I actually consider it to be highly patriotic to be skeptical of government and questioning of anyone trying to centralize authority. And frankly, not just because of the well-being and the benefit of the people, but the fact that the American experience in and of itself was one of a constitutionally limited government. The founders themselves were highly skeptical of government. The battle was between the Federalists, who believed that a government of some size was a necessary evil, but still evil, and the anti-federalists who were like, no, it's just pure evil. So I mean, that's what the history of American patriotism is one of skepticism. So that when you ask where does my patriotism lie, it lies right there. When it comes to the question of would I stand with someone anywhere who is actually trying to be free against my own government, I do it routinely. That is what my anti-war activism is. I am standing with people that I will likely never meet, who are in some of the most far-flung parts of the world, relative to where I live anyway, and who I may share absolutely nothing with in terms of individual values, religious beliefs, the languages we can speak, our ideas about things, but they are human beings who should be respected as individual human beings, and instead they're being subjected to campaigns of mass murder and occupations and financing of puppet regimes in their own countries that oppress them, and all that's being done by my government, and I support them in their right to not live that way, and I oppose my government as it does it. We're watching it with delight as Javier Milei is, seemingly turning Argentina into, at least in pretty bold increments, turning Argentina into an increasingly libertarian country after decades of authoritarianism and populism from both the left and right. And I'm just waiting for the U.S. government to start trying to screw with it. And the moment that they do in any real way, I will vocally and actively oppose it. So my patriotism is with the America as a country, America as its people, and also America as the idea of individual human freedom and liberty and life, liberty and property. And if we are to have a government, that it must be strictly limited, and we must keep constant vigilance against it.
Yeah, I agree that you went exactly where I was going, which is Argentina. We need to set up an outpost down there with what Javier's got going. I mean, he's just getting started. It's been a month and a half. It's going to be incredible what we see down there. So yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Well, for me, I think when it comes to patriotism, there's certain levels of it. I love my country and I love everybody. I love the world. There's good people and bad people everywhere, no matter where you go. And who knows what the future holds? Who knows what kind of dystopian nightmare we might be staring down? Who knows if the ship gets righted and we avoid that? But at the end of the day, I will say that I probably have more in common with the people in Iraq that they sent me over there to terrorize than I do that the government that sent me there to, do the terrorizing, I guess, so to speak. Um, so yeah, I mean, my ultimate loyalty is to, my friends, my family, and God, and being around here in this area. When it comes down to it, I'll do anything I can do to protect my community. Because if we don't have each other here, we certainly can't help out people in communities down the road. So if it's simply as take care of your neighbor. If you take care of your neighbor on both sides, and they do the same thing, then we're going to have no problems. But that's the uphill battle we face.
Wow, thank you. That was great. For me, it was interesting because I was in Japan during the lockdown while you guys were being locked down. And the government here didn't squelch your speech at all. It didn't, they didn't, I never got pressure to get the vax. I had much more freedom in Japan. I had much more freedom of speech. I had much more freedom of movement. I had much more freedom of association. It's just bizarre to see that America, which is claiming to be the thing that it's not, and it's become obvious to everybody who's outside of America, especially when you see the warfare state. It's just evil, and I hope America can fix its ship. I don't plan on going back. I've been gone way too long, but I wish you guys the best of luck.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, I agree. I think that ideas like liberty and independence have just become throwaway terms that are used on July 4th. We celebrate Independence Day by going to the local park and reading the sign to see what we're allowed to do that day. Are we allowed to cook hot dogs at the park, or can we bring them in bags from our own house, or what are we allowed to use fireworks, and if so, which section of the park can we do it? And it's to celebrate our independence and freedom. We're literally celebrating a day that our forefathers, those who came before us, took up arms against the what was effectively the law enforcement in the country at the time over a proposed tax of up to 3% on one product. And we've gone from that to, well, I think we're not allowed to bring plastic bags here. So do we have any paper bags still? Like, I mean, that and it's to celebrate, Independence Day and our freedom and our liberty. I think most people don't even know what freedom and liberty mean. For most people, liberty is an accounting firm that you go to get your taxes done. Like it's insane that what has happened. And it goes to show how easily you can program people to stand in front of a TV and listen to corporate media and just recite over and over again, I am free, I am independent, I have liberty, I am safe, I am whatever, even though they deep down know that that's not true and it's all lies. But, that's why it is important for us to be the truth tellers. And that sometimes means ruffling feathers, but it also means, using a little bit of jujitsu of learning what we can learn from the strategies and tactics and frankly the schemes that have been used by the status quo to kind of psyop people into buying this stuff, and we can reverse engineer it for the right use and to actually get people on our side, not to manipulate people or lie to them, but to understand again that we're kind of a small self-selected group of people that can change. Like, for example, just about everyone in here, or most of us, if we are presented with information that completely contradicts what we believe about something, we may not, and some of us would adopt it in that very moment, like we're some kind of robot or something, and you're impressive if you can do that. But most of us, at the very least, we might in that moment kind of resist it, but we'll listen, we'll look at it, we'll read it, we'll research it, and we'll go, son of a bitch, I was wrong. And then we'll start, and now we'll be right. Most people will not do that. You cannot just show them facts and they'll adopt it. You have to create an emotional connection with something and force them to, plant seeds in their head about, challenging their preconceived beliefs on the subject. And it can be tiring, but it's what we have to do. And if we do it effectively, we can undo what the authoritarians and the status quo have been doing in this country for, well over a century now. And, it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen. And, for those who think it can't, I think if I had told anyone here who knew anything about Argentina in, say, 2021, that they were going to elect an anarcho-capitalist who was going to immediately slash every aspect of government, including and especially the welfare state, on day one, and that they would cheer for him in the streets as they did it, I think the average person would tell me that I was insane for thinking that. I would have thought it was insane to think that, but here we are. So there's always hope.
And yeah, but what about their roads?
Okay, listen. We are going to pretend roads don't exist, because that's one of the tricks that I was talking about, is because we know as soon as we think of roads, we realize that libertarianism is wrong and we need a big government. And so we're just not going to think of roads. Okay, just stop. Don't think about roads.
All right, real quick, Spike, before I hop off here. So if you don't have roads, how are you supposed to get a Ryder truck full of fertilizer to the federal building?
Ooh, that's spicy. Yet another reason we don't talk about roads. We are not talking about roads. No roads, everyone.
No.
Thanks, everybody.
I think that's why Simon might have got kicked off right there. I think our buddies were listening. All right, one last scientific libertarian. You've had your hand up here for a minute. If you want to jump on, and after him, we'll go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah, I was. I put it up in the net so much. It's dropped down. Free and Equal Debates is having a mostly third party, because none of the main people ever get on the debate stage. But the top 6 vote totals, they get a invitation to Free and Equal Debates. And we have a total of 6 libertarian presidential candidates. So there is a spot for each one of them. It would be great to have as many libertarian candidates on stage as possible. So if you go to their vote, it does require a phone number. So, probably the burner phone if you feel insecure about it, but I've never received spam or anything from that organization.
As long as I don't have to drive on a road, I'm in.
No, you can literally stay at home and never go on a road ever again, which none of us will.
Especially not with a rider truck.
We're just not going to even acknowledge any of that. But what we're going to do instead of acknowledging that is, like when I fly into DC, I refuse to use the roads. I'm going to just say, just drop me off here. And I'm hoping that we have like a DEI pilot who won't realize that you can't do that. And they'll just like, all right, fine. And they'll open the door and let me jump out. And then I'll see you guys there.
I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Spike is going to jump from an airplane straight into the Grand Hyatt in downtown Washington, D.C. on Friday, September 2nd. I can't tell you the time.
Yes. We're not sure. It'll depend on, when exactly we're flying over, but you won't want to miss it. So go to libertycon.com and sign up today to see me jump from a commercial airliner.
How close?
So if we're flying into DCA, you actually come down pretty low over the Potomac there, I believe. So, I mean, this might actually be, I'm not going to be DB Coopering it from 30,000 feet. I'm going to be DB Jupering it. So libertycon.com
to root you all.
Are you gonna at least invite the Texas tax pirate to help you with that?
I'm not sure who that is, but I am happy to find out more because that sounds like the kind of person I like.
Oh, you know the one.
The Texas tax pirate.
Tax pirate.
Tax pirate. Yeah, tax pirate.
He's the I believe he's a congressional. He was a SEAL, made a big deal about the whole thing. Had a really cheesy campaign video.
You're talking about what's his name? Who's got a big fight with United right now? Yeah, Crenshaw. Yes,
there you go, Crenshaw.
McCain.
Yep.
I patched red flag McCain. Yes.
All right. Well, we're gonna get off here on that. Spikey, thank you so much. Chip, thank you so much. We'll see y'all here in a couple of weeks. When you jump out of the plane, make sure you aim for the red coat. And
yes.
So
cannonball it. Yes.
We'll be up there Friday, sometime midday. So hopefully we can all sit down and get a lunch or a dinner while we're up there, Spike. And I'll be in touch in the meantime.
Absolutely. Yes, folks. libertycon.com to watch me cannonball from a commercial airliner directly into an Englishman.
Over the Potomac.
Enjoyed
it, guys.
libertycon.com.
Being our first spaces, I've had a blast. We're going to have to do it again, Chip, Spike. We'll
Absolutely.
Here a good time. So thank y'all so much. And we'll see you here shortly.
Absolutely. Love y'all. libertycon.com.
Turn 4.
We drive trucks, we plow fields, we'll work from sun up until it goes back down again. We raise hell on Friday nights. It becomes Sunday morning, you can find us at the Church of Christ. It may sound like a simple life, but the living sure is fine. Yeah, where I come from, we drank moonshine. If it can be broken, it can be fixed. We come from busted knuckles and we know how to use a wrench. We raise our kids, we teach them wrong from right. Yeah, and you can bet your ass that they'll never back down from a fight. It may sound like a simple life, but the living sure is fine. Yeah, where I come from, we drank moonshine. country music, we turn it way up high. And I can sing every word to a country boy can survive. We like our beer, we drink it ice cold. And the stuff we smoke, well, it's gotta be hand rolled. It may sound like a simple life, but it keeps me feeling high. Yeah, where I come from, we drink moonshine.